Hello learners, this is Habeeba with Excelwithme. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class. That is, we have started with the topic hypothesis sampling tools and techniques of data collection, and that in the previous class we have clearly understood about what is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a tentative solution of any problem which we are going to do the research, that is research question. Whatever research question we are doing, the tentative solution we are framing beforehand. Now the second topic is sampling. Under sampling, we are going to start with all these topics you can see over here. Let's discuss one by one. Now, before understanding anything, we should understand first what is population and what is sample. Population means the subjects question where you are choosing. For example, if I am taking effect of emotional intelligence on the academic achievement of the senior secondary school students, I have to define properly who are my population. If I am confused with my population, I cannot do my research properly. So first of all, I have to understand what is population. Population is, in that I mentioned senior secondary school students. I cannot go beyond that. But also there are certain limitations. Senior secondary school students are worldwide, countrywide, statewide, citywide, your district-wide, your area-wide. So I have to decide, I have to limit my population. For example, I am taking my city, only my city, that too, which population, that means private schools or government schools, that population. Out of that population, I can choose one technique to select that sample. We will understand further about that sample. Out of all, maybe I have taken one city, in that I will choose only private schools. That means out of those private schools, maybe 4 or 5 I will mention, out of them I will collect few randomly. That is sample. You can see over here, out of big population, I will select my population here. Now, what is population exactly, literally? Let's understand. A population is the entire group that you want to draw conclusions about. Now, what is sample? A sample is a specific group that you will collect data from. Now, what is the size? Even in that sample, secondary school students, you can choose one particular class only. Maybe 11th standard or the 12th standard you can take. That's your choice. Now, the size of the sample is always less than the total size of the population. Obviously, we cannot take 10 schools, out of 10 schools, all the 11th class students or all the 12th class students or both 11th and 12th. We cannot take. We have to be specific with the size of the sample. In research, a population doesn't always refer to people. Here we can take the samples of the plants, animals, anything, human beings. That's our wish. Now, what is the definition, exact definition of population? A research population is also known as a well-defined collection of individuals or objects known to have similar characteristics. Just now I told you 11th class students. That means all are studying 11th class students, senior secondary students. All individuals or objects within a certain population usually have a common binding. That's what 11th class or 12th class or both 11th and 12th. A common binding is there, binding characteristic or a trait. Now, sample, the method of selecting a representative or subset of the population. Now, makes research more accurate, obviously, and economical. We cannot move all around the country for senior secondary school students. I will specifically take my city. Out of that also, I will select near my area, which are the private schools, maybe 4 or 5, etc. Now, a sample should be the representative of the whole population, just we understood here. Now, what is the example? To study newspaper reading habits among the school students. That is my issue or question. Not possible to include all the students in the study. Obviously, Now need to draw a sample of the whole population, that is all the students of the school, particular school. If all school students are 500, then selected sample of the study would be 100 to trace the newspaper reading habit. We cannot take all the students of the particular school. I will take randomly, or maybe I will select one method. Already we discussed about these methods: random sampling, stratified sampling, etc. So here I will choose one technique of selecting the sample, then I will come to maybe 100 out of 500. Now sampling, the process of choosing a sample of the population to study. That's the simple meaning. What is the sample here? Sampling, that is the process of choosing. What is your process of choosing a sample out of the big population? That is sampling. Now meaning of sampling in research terms: a sample is a group of people, objects, items that are taken from a larger population for measurement. Now the sample should be representative of the population. To ensure that we can generalize the findings from the research sample to the population as a whole. Now let's see the definition of a sample. A sample is a smaller set of data that a researcher chooses or selects from a larger population using a predefined selection method. Just now I told you, maybe random sampling. Now techniques of sampling selection, let's understand here. When we conduct research about a group of people, it's rarely possible to collect data from every person in the group. Instead, what we do, we select a sample. The sample is a group of individuals who will actually participate in the research. Now what are the techniques of sampling selection? We have to understand clearly here. To draw valid conclusions from our results, we have to carefully decide how we will select a sample that is representative of the group as a whole. This is called a sampling method or technique. There are two primary types of sampling method or techniques that we can use in our research. That is techniques of sampling: probability sampling, that is there is a chance of selecting, that is equal chance we will give. Maybe randomly we select, we don't know whom we are selecting, that is equal chances are there for selecting those. That is uses random sampling techniques. Now non-probability sampling means mostly involves judgment, that is uses non-randomized methods. I'll explain in the few slides coming over here. Now let's understand clearly about probability sampling. Now our representative sample of the whole population, that is from the whole population. Just now we understood, if we take, for example, there are 500 students in a school, adopt a method in which all the 500 students of a school have an equal chance to be the participants in the study, not deciding your favorites or just like that. So this is called probability sampling. Probable already tells us there is a chance of selecting anyone. Now probability sampling methods, that is number 1, simple random sampling, 2, systematic random sampling, 3, stratified random sampling, 4, cluster sampling, and multi-stage systematic sampling. Let's quickly understand what are all these. Number 1, simple random sampling. Each element and each combination of elements in the population, that is have an equal probability of being selected as a part of the sample. If you see here, some population is given here, some different colors. Here white, yellow and red, these are the group of peoples. Out of this random sampling we can select maybe this person, or maybe this person, or maybe this person. Like that, randomly we choose the persons. That is simple random sampling. Now the next one is second one. You can see here, choose every 9th participant. That is random sampling. Second one, systematic random sampling. Maybe you can choose the second one, all the seconds. Maybe all the seconds, leaving one this person, leaving one maybe this person, leaving one this person, or maybe nth we can call it as, maybe the third one, leaving 2 in between, the third one we take nth participant from a complete list. This is systematic random sampling. Now the third one is stratified random sampling. That is maybe one strata, maybe children, kids, and little grown up, maybe youth. This is one strata, children. Then youth, maybe middle age or old age persons. One strata we can collect from this population. We can make them in stratas, maybe children, youth, maybe middle age or old persons. That is stratified random sampling. Then the fourth one is cluster sampling. There are clusters here, all the population of maybe all the customers here, maybe cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, that is cluster 4. This included in a sample here. You can see all the population. Maybe we can take this as first cluster. This is the second one, the third one. Then out of all this population, we have chosen the cluster. That's why it is called cluster sampling. Then here we can see multi-stage systematic sampling here, the fifth one. Maybe multi-stage we can take here, that too systematic. Maybe first country, whole country, the population, then states, first stage, districts, second stage, households, third stage, individuals, fourth stage. Then comes the final sampling out of all the multi-stage samples. You can see here also, for example, step-by-step multi-stage sampling techniques. Population of maybe 25 districts if I take, 10 districts out of which 884 secondary schools, that is first stage. Then comes the second stage, out of that boys and girls. Then the third stage, male heads and female heads. Lastly we come to the total sample maybe of 402 secondary school heads here. Now let's see the second one, non-probability sampling. That is, there is no probability of getting the equal chance here. That is, participants are selected because they are easy to access. That is considered less expensive, less complicated and easy to apply. For example, classmates and friends have a better chance to be a part of that sample. Now, non-probability sampling methods are: number 1, convenience sampling, 2, purposive sampling, 3rd, quota sampling, and 4th one is snowball sampling. First one, convenience sampling. According to the convenience of the researcher, they choose maybe their classmates and friends, maybe subjects really accessible or available near them, or maybe own convenience. According to that, they can choose all the closest live persons. They can choose according to their convenience. That is convenience sampling. That is no equal chance here. Anybody, they will conveniently pick those persons here. Now, second one is purposive or judgmental sampling. What does this sample happens here? The researcher out of this population, they purposively they select those or maybe they have the judgmental that these people are maybe suitable for their research as their samples. The third one is quota sampling. That is selecting the sample according to same fixed quota. That is maybe women, girls, literate. Maybe men, boys, illiterate. That means same quota we are choosing here. The fourth one is snowball sampling. That means you can see here the researcher, what does he do? He will according to his knowledge or her knowledge, they will approach one person. Then that person can give the name of the other persons the same with the same purpose, whatever reason they have, the same reason might be of their subjects. So they can suggest the people actually. That means snowball from one to other, another to another. Like how the snow, if we make a ball of snow, how does it, if we throw it from the slope, it will come down losing the things. So same way, snowball sampling from one person to the other person, then other person, they will suggest one by one. Now choice of sampling methods here, by following the steps below we could choose the best sampling method for our study in an orderly manner. Number 1, research objectiveness. What does that means? That means a refined research question and goal would help us define our population. We should have refined research question so that our goal is easy. What is our interest? What is our calculated sample size? Then it will become easier to select the maybe random sampling. That sample size may be large, then we should check our budget is there or not for that large sample, then when we can go for the lesser one. The second one is sampling frame availability. This is the second one. We need to check for availability of a sampling frame. That is maybe simple. If not, could we make a list of our own, maybe stratified? If neither option is possible, we could still use other random sampling methods, for instance, systematic or cluster sampling. Then study design. This is very important. The third one, we could consider the prevalence of the topic, exposure or outcome in the population, and what would be the suitable study design that we can understand. In addition, checking if our target population is widely varied in its baseline characteristics. For example, a population with large ethnic subgroups could best be studied using a stratified sampling method, because ethnic groups are different. Maybe tribal people, maybe village people, maybe the modern cultured Western people, like that. We can take the stratified sampling methods. Then the fourth one is random sampling. Finally, the best sampling method is always the one that could best answer our research question while also allowing for others to make use of our results. When we cannot afford a random sampling method, we can always choose from the non-random sampling methods, maybe convenience or purposive, like that. Now, what are the characteristics of a good sample? Quickly understand. It's important that the sampling results must reflect the characteristics of the population. Therefore, while selecting the sample from the population under investigation, it should be ensured that the sample has the following characteristics. Number 1, an ideal sample must be representative of the population corresponding to its properties. Representative, that is very important. Representative of the population is the ideal sample. The second one is, it should not lack in any characteristics of the population. It must be unbiased. This is very important and must be obtained by a probability processor random method. Then next one is feasible and has practicability. Obviously, if we are taking the sample out of our reach, it is not possible to go, and budget also may not support us. Then another one is accurate results. Obviously, whatever sample you are choosing, you are supposed to get the accurate results and does not involve errors. The probability of error can be estimated. Next one is adequate. Obviously, you should ensure this reliability. A sample having 10% of the whole population is generally adequate. Now, the sample must be comprehensive. It is a quality of sample which is controlled by the specific purpose of the investigation. Now, sample units must be chosen systematically and objectively. A sample must be sufficiently large but as economic as possible. A sample must be taken at random, we have understood already, because it has equal chance of selection. Then accurate and complete. That means it should not leave any information incomplete and should include all the respondents' units or items included in the sample. Now, what are the sampling errors and how to reduce them? Let's understand quickly. A sampling error occurs when the sample used in the study is not representative of the whole population. Then sampling errors often occur, and thus researchers always calculate a margin of error during final results as a statistical practice. Now, the margin of error is the amount of error allowed for a miscalculation to represent the difference between the sample and the actual population. Now, this is the content. Let's understand the difference between sampling error and non-sampling error. Sampling error is a type of error occurs due to the sample selected does not perfectly represent the population. Then non-sampling error, an error occurs due to sources other than sampling while conducting survey activities is known as non-sampling error. Then what is the cause of this sampling error? Deviation between sample mean and population mean. Non-sampling error, deficiency and analysis of data. Now what is the type of sampling error? This is random. Non-sampling error is random or non-random both. Now how does it occurs? Sampling error only when sample is selected. Non-sampling both in sample and census. Now sample size, possibility of error reduced with the increase in sample size. It has nothing to do with the sample size related to non-sampling error. Now what are the sampling errors here? Population specification error, it occurs when researchers does not know precisely who to survey. For example, imagine a research study about kids apparel. Who is the right person to survey here? It can be both parents, only the mother or the child, because the parents make purchase decisions, I want this, I want that, but the kids may influence their choice. So this population specification error can happen. Then sample frame error. This error arises when researchers target the subpopulation wrongly while selecting the sample. For example, picking a sampling frame from the telephone white pages book may have erroneous inclusions because people shift their cities. That is, erroneous inclusions occur when people prefer to unlist their numbers. Wealthy households may have more than one connection, thus leading to multiple inclusions. Now selection error. A selection error occurs when respondents self-select themselves to participate in the study. Only the interested ones respond. You can control selection errors by going the extra step to request responses from the entire sampling, that is pre-survey planning, follow-ups, and a neat and clean survey design will boost respondents' participation rate. Also try methods like CATI surveys and in-person interviews to maximize responses. Now non-response error, obviously non-response means that sample is not responding to your survey. That occurs when a useful response is not obtained from the surveys. It may happen due to the inability to contact potential respondents or their refusal to respond. Then sampling errors occur due to a disparity in the representativeness of the respondents. That is, it majorly happens when the researcher does not plan his sample carefully. These sampling errors can be controlled and eliminated by creating a careful sample design, having a large enough sample to reflect the entire population, or using an online sample or survey audiences to collect responses. Now sampling errors and how to reduce them. Number one, increase sample size. That means a large sample size results in a more accurate result because the study gets closer to the actual population size. Or second one, divide the population into groups. That is, test groups according to their size in the population instead of a random sample. For example, if people of a specific demographic make up 20% of the population, make sure that your study is made up of this variable to reduce sampling bias. Third one, know your population. Obviously, you should know who are your population. Study your population and understand its demographic mix. Know what demographics your sample belongs to and ensure you only target the sample that matters. So we come to the end of this session. I think it has become longer because of more subtopics. I hope I have covered all the points. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.